Hello again, friends. I am Seed Hero, and welcome back to Radical Dreamers. In yesterday's episode, we just finished off escaping from a treasure room where we found the frozen flame. It wasn't actually the frozen flame, but we stole it, and then it shattered. And then we had to fight some goblin guards to actually escape out of the room. We learned what a hecarim sounds like. All sorts of cool stuff. Anyways, having escaped that treasure room, we are officially back into exploration mode. The corridor outside the room stretched off to the left and right. The path to the right led to the terrace. The left led to a staircase going upward. I believe we have completely explored the terrace side. I'm pretty sure we have. There might be more stuff coming, or stuff that opens up over there. But currently there's nothing left for us to do. The corridor ended at the foot of some stairs. With Kid in the lead, we headed upwards. It was dark, and the stairwell was narrow. We watched our footing carefully as we climbed. The stone of the steps was worn smooth with age, and I lost count of how many there were as we spiraled onward and upward. An awful sense of foreboding haunted me. I had no idea why, but it felt as though we were marching to the gallows. When we arrived at the top of the stairs, we were greeted by an old, heavy door looming in the silence. All was deathly silent, and the still, clammy air added to the sense of ominous apprehension. Something's very wrong here, I muttered without thinking. I hear cursed whispers from beyond the door, Magil added, doing nothing to lift the mood. Grow up, will ya? Kid shot back at us derisively. She was already examining the door. Well, it ain't locked, and I don't hear anyone inside. We're going in. All right, here goes. Kid tried the handle. The door opened, and with a slow, heavy swing, revealed what lay beyond. It was a small, cylindrical room that appeared to be the inside of one of the stone towers. It was completely deserted, and there were no windows. What's this supposed to be? Something about this place gives me the creeps. Still standing in the doorway, Kid seemed suddenly taken aback. There might be something in here. Let's take a closer look. Closer look at a bloody empty room? Pah! Might as well, I guess. We did climb all them stairs. Kid stepped through the door, grumbling under her breath. I scanned the room, and then noticed something on the floor. The flagstones were covered in dozens of narrow scratches, and in places, there were thick, black stains. Something in the stains spoke of a horror that no amount of strict scrubbing would ever wash away. A malice and a sadness beyond imagining. There's something written here. Crouching in front of a wall, Magil was inspecting some brownish markings that looked like more of the same stains. Someone's carved letters into the wall and scrambled them up using blood magic? Kid had gone over to take a look. Looks pretty old. Hard to read, too. Some of it's been worn away. Let's see. I cannot hold out much longer. My only hope now is to leave the Acacian signet in this room. The Acacian signet? Suddenly, the door slammed shut. We jumped to our feet with a start. From above us, we heard an unsettling creaking sound. The walls and floors began to tremble. What the hell's going on? Kid's eyes darted around the room as she desperately tried to figure out what was happening. The creaking sound from above continued, and the ceiling moved ominously closer. Up there! Oh! That is bad. We've walked right into a bloody trap. Kid bit her lip. Gotta do something fast. We don't have time to sit and think. We, tried to smash down the wall. Good idea. There's gotta be a hidden door or something somewhere, yelled Kid. Panicked, we tried thumping the walls to see what we could find. All we came up against was solid, unyielding stone. Shook. The edge of one of the descending blades sliced into my forehead. There was no time. What are we gonna do? Let's barge the door down. I don't think we can stop that ceiling. Yarg! Kid sprang at the door like an arrow, slamming into it shoulder first. But it was far too heavy, and her light frame bounced right off it. Damn it! McGill raced towards the door like the wind, smashing into it with ferocious force. It made a creaking sound and shook from the impact, but stood firm. Desperately, I hurled myself at it too. The shock of the impact rushed through my body, but it was no good. Meanwhile, the rusty creaking from above continued, as did the ceiling's inexorable journey downward. And to make matters worse, now countless blades were popping in and out. Sarge, McGill, this is gonna take the three of us. Timing our blows, we all charged at the door at once. Once, twice, a third time. Then the door was open, and we were collapsed in a heap in the corridor outside. What? Behind us, we heard the sound of the bladed ceiling grinding on the stone floor of the tower room. The metallic scraping noise it made was awful. We could only look on in silent horror at the fate we'd so narrowly evaded. The machinery continued for a short while, before slowly coming to a stop. It seemed the ceiling trap had finally finished its grisly work. Bugger me! Talk about a nasty surprise! Is it some sort of execution chamber? McGill continued, seeming to be deep in thought. In any case, that writing mentioned Acacia. Yeah, what was that all about? The Acacia Dragoons, the elite knightly order serving General Viper, who once governed the territory of Galesburg to the west. Former knightly order, I should say. They were wiped out more than a decade ago, by the lord of this very manor, no less. Uh-huh. Thanks for the history lesson, Meg. Kid rose to her feet, patting off the dust. Too bad we're not here for some fairy tale nights. Come on, got a lot more exploring left to do. McGill shrugged silently, and we headed back to the stairs. With Kid in the lead, we headed downstairs. We went down the stairs and continued straight ahead, eventually coming across a sturdy-looking door on our right. This door would be the treasure room. The corridor continued further on back toward the terrace. Should we go inside the treasure room? Let's go back. Let's go inside quick. We have no time for baubles. The frozen flame comes before all else. Yeah, I know. Back to the terrace. We continued down the corridor, eventually coming across a door on our left. The corridor continued on back to towards the terrace. This is the clock tower. The clock tower door. It had the old lady that knew Kid in here. So we're just gonna go past it. Let's go outside. After a short walk down the corridor, the terrace came into view. Let's go out onto the terrace, see if there's anything new out here. Besides wind, goddamn. We returned to the quiet terrace overlooking the garden. And then I talked to Kid. How long we been doing this together now, Better shape up or we're leaving you behind. Kid's cold stare pierced through me like a javelin made of ice. Talk about harsh. She didn't need to go that far. We should go back inside. We're not here for fun, muttered McGill. Well, he said that, but I want to talk to McGill. You alright, Serge? You're looking rather pale. That wasn't the half of it. I hurt all over and I felt dizzy. I wasn't going to be in a fit state to fight if we happened to run into any more enemies. Alright, dust yourself off and let's get moving. We've got work to do. Well, she said that, but we went back into the manor. Okay, so nothing outside. We're gonna go left. Maybe we can go check the atrium? I guess. Took the corridor leading from the left-hand side of the terrace, eventually arriving at an intersection with some stairs. We're going down the stairs, I believe. Now let's go down the stairs. Do we have anything new? Did we get anything cool from the treasure vault? I don't think we did. Slowly we crept down the staircase, descending deeper into blackness as we went. At the bottom the path split. Let's go to the atrium first. Gotta be kidding me, shouted Kid, glaring at me. Are you telling me to swim through a bloody lake of Piranadons? Yeah, you can count me out, mate. How am I supposed to charm me victims with big chunks bitten out of me? Guess she had a point. Here's a better plan. Why don't we go back to Beardy and try sticking something down his gob? Sure enough, she pulled out her bundle of odds and ends. Do I have to? I asked, knowing the answer. Just probably just as well, since Kid only glared at me in response. My hand hovered for a moment before I finally reached for something. I chose the hand-shaped plate. Where did we get this? Where did we get this? I remember reading about it, or I remember picking it up, but I don't remember what it actually was. Did we get this in Lynx's room, maybe? Whatever. Took the hand-shaped metal plate we'd found. After taking another look at the runes, I was no closer to working out what they might mean. Here goes nothing. Stuck the plate into the mouth of Truth's marbled maw. As soon as I did, its eyes rolled upward and the wall gave a light judder. A low rumbling sound came from the sculpture's mouth. This, indeed, is the ultimate truth of the universe. Did you hear something? Yeah. I watched the mouth of Truth in confusion. Its great marble tongue lolled out, almost like a snake. It coiled around the plate, seizing it and pulling it deep inside. What's going on? In a panic, I looked to McGill for answers. Seems this ineffable truth of the universe has left even the mouth of Truth tongue-tied. McGill answered in his usual deadpan manner. I think he might have even been trying to make a joke. Hang on, so that plate thing you revealed the truth of the universe? And you went and crammed it down Beardy's gullet? Do you realize how much we could have sold that for? Kid kicked the floor in frustration and snapped her fingers. And then trains on all sides of the room suddenly started opening wide. The red water formed eddies as it sank away. Helpless, the Piranadons were washed away with the current. Soon only trickles of water were left, slowly dripping away. Well, that's a stroke of luck, ain't it? Guess we won't be sleeping with the fishes tonight, grinned Kid, looking at the empty pool. We crossed to the drained room, making for the exit on the other side, and pressed on. Rattle. Kid stopped us. There's something there. I listened carefully. Rattle, rattle, rattle. Does it work? Can I, rattle my mic? Will that pick up? A figure appeared in the darkness on the other side of the corridor. It's a skeleton! We readied ourselves for a fight. Look at that skeleton, that thing's terrifying! What was I gonna do? I assessed the situation. We squared off against the skeleton. It threw the sword it was carrying to the ground and took a step forward. And then it twisted its body into a strange pose. Wait, is it doing what I think it is? It proceeded to contort itself further, adopting a shape that could only be described as highly suggestive. For a moment, no one knew quite how to respond. What the bloody hell? What should we... Wait. Kid, look at Meg. McGill seemed completely bewitched. There was no way he'd be any use to us in this state. What were we gonna do? Try to get McGill to snap out of it. McGill, pull yourself together. I tried my hardest to get through to him, but he just carried on staring into space with a vacant look in his eyes. What the heck is wrong with him? What kind of weirdo gets his head turned by a bloody skeleton? Muttered Kid, turning back to face our foe. Oh, can't be helped. It's only a bag of bones. We can handle this. She lunged towards the creature. Skeleton brought down its sword, but Kid nimbly dodged with a sidestep to the left, and then took advantage of her momentum to kick it right in the side. Well, in the spine close to the waist, anyway. Crunch! The bone shattered, separating the skeleton into two halves. You did it! Piece of cake! The skeleton wasn't quite done yet, though. Supporting its upper body with its left hand, it quickly picked itself back up. And then with its right hand, it flung its sword at me. What was I gonna do? Dodge to the right. Throw myself out of the path of the incoming sword. Shook. It sliced my thigh as it flew past. I knew I should have dodged left. Damn it. I'm so stupid. I fell to my knee, clutching the wound. Take this! Kid rushed down the skeleton and shattered its skull with an almighty kick. The bones of its upper body fell to the floor with a clatter, and then finally the creature lay still. You alright, Sedge? Yeah, I think so. That's that dealt with. Now. Kid turned her attention back to McGill. Can't believe this drongo, though. Thwack! She brought her fist down hard on his head. Maybe that'll wake you up. Now, if we're done here, let's get a bloody move on. What was I? Oh, ow. I was a mess. My body was screaming with pain. Felt like I might pass out at any moment. If I took much more punishment from Lynx's minions, my night was going to be over pretty soon. Oh, that was another fine bloody mess. What did we even bring you for, Serge? Kid's cold stare pierced through me like a javelin made of ice. We went through the atrium and continued down the corridor before finding ourselves at a fork in the road. The corridor stretched off to the left and right. Ooh, new territory. We're gonna go left. Continue down the corridor, eventually reaching an old, rather sturdy-looking door. Bloody marvelous. Another bloody door with a bloody magic barrier on it. Wonder what's inside. My sixth sense tells me it ain't treasure. Kid whispered back at us as she examined the door. I suspect that this is the Manor's dungeon, replied McGill, his eyes closed in concentration. I can hear the sound of someone moaning in the darkness on the other side. There's nothing we can do, and thus it is of little concern to us now. Let us turn back. With no way of getting through the door, we retraced our steps down the corridor. Leading the group as usual, Kid suddenly stopped. What's that? She jabbed her finger at something in the darkness. Straining my eyes, I could see a pale white bundle of something shaking in the shadows. Huh, that's strange. I moved in front of Kid to try to get a better look. And then suddenly the strange presence started crawling across the floor toward us at an unbelievable speed. I didn't have time to brace myself. The white figure reached my foot, then reared up to its full height. It was a skeleton. Damn skeletons down here, I tell you. The skeleton I stood face to face, its empty eye sockets staring straight at me. Or seeming to, at least. What was I gonna do? Running. Retreat. Completely taken by surprise, I staggered 2 or 3 steps backwards. The skeleton let out a rasping hiss as it slashed at me with its sword. The tip of the blade grazed my cheek. I was lucky. Had it not been for McGill pulling me out of harm's way at the last moment, my head would have been rolling on the floor. Thanks, Meg. I stumbled in a daze, sitting awkwardly on the floor after losing my footing. Eat this! Kid's foot slamming into the skeleton after a sweeping attack left it wide open. There was a crunching sound and a clattering of bones as the skeleton was knocked back by the blow. Its body split clean into at the waist. Better luck next time, muttered Kid dryly. As if in response, the skeleton's upper body picked itself up from the ground, turning its skull toward me. Balancing its body with its left hand, it then pulled the skull from its head with its right. What's it doing? Before I could get the words out, it had heaved its skull at me. What was I gonna do? Catch it. Caught it in both hands. And slammed it onto the floor. Slammed the skull on the ground. It smashed into pieces with a satisfying crunch. As soon as it had, the skeleton's torso collapsed into a lifeless heap. Guys, we need to stop trying to dodge things. Apparently, we're good at catching. Won't be troubling us anymore. Time to move on. It's your resident seed hero in the building, no problem. Oh, that was a mess. My body was screaming in pain. I took much more punishment. My night was going to be over pretty soon. After making our way down the dark corridor, we came to a branch in the path. The path to the right would take us back to the atrium with the fountain. The corridor also continued directly ahead, but the way was completely enshrouded in darkness. We are going straight into the darkness. Let's go. We continued down the dark, dank corridor until some stairs leading downward finally came into view. Which we went down. Excuse me, which we slowly crept down, descending deeper into the shadows as we went. At the bottom, we found ourselves at another intersection. The dim, narrow passageway branched left and right. Left first. We continued down the corridor until it ended at a large door, covered in scratches and other odd marks. Above the door was a wooden plate. It bore the legend, "Guard Room," in elaborate calligraphy. Well, well, reckon this might be where to find the key to that door upstairs. No getting past that bloody magic barrier without it. Wait. Oh, that door, okay. Kid pressed an ear against the door and listened carefully. Doesn't sound like anyone's in there. We went inside. Kid opened the door. The room had seemed completely silent from the outside, and so we had thought it would be empty, but there inside was a lone goblin. It was sitting at a chair with a book in its hand. A light steam drifted from the teacup on the table in front of it, and with it, a delicate aroma. The goblin peered at us curiously over its spectacles. There was something different about this one. I could tell as much at a glance. Was it the tea or the book that gave it away? Heavens, how rare it is to have guests! Heavens, how well spoken for a goblin. I could only feel dread and suspicion at the sight of him nonetheless. Sorry, mate, but we are not your guests. Cough up the key to the dungeon if you want to live. Kid slammed her knife into the table to illustrate her point. The goblin didn't so much as flinch. Ah, you must be Kid. What a pleasure this is. I've always wanted to meet you. Why, you're even more ravishing than the rumors would. Before the goblin could finish, Kid's knife flew through the air. In a quick flick of his wrist, the goblin caught the blade with the back of his book, a mere inch from his face. I see that your approach is as radical as the name of your merry band would suggest, the goblin said, pulling the knife free and handing it back to Kid. She took it without a word. But her gaze had changed. She was like a cat, cautiously studying its prey. And I was just getting to the good part, too. Ah, well, I suppose I have to give up on ever finishing it now. The goblin casually flung the book over his shoulder and into a nearby bin. Allow me to introduce myself, if I may. I'm Grismeld. I'm not Grismeld, I'm Grismeld. I'm the guard on watch. No need to stand. Please, do take a seat. Welcome to tea, of course. Goblin beckoned us to sit down. Did he mean to poison us? If I may. McGill calmly took a seat, ignoring the obvious suspicion in the air. I sat down next to McGill. I decided to trust McGill's instinct, and took a seat next to him. He had some kind of plan in mind, I was sure of it. Kid didn't look like she'd be pulling up a chair anytime soon. She was standing with her arms crossed, eyeing the goblin suspiciously. The goblin poured 3 cups of tea. Here you are. Without the slightest hint of hesitation, McGill took his teacup and lifted it to his lips. He sipped, then placed the cup back on its saucer. Heal me ailin'. Heal me ailin'? Heal my ailin'. I see. Alright. Heal my ailin' tea. Not a blend I'd expect to find here. What a pleasure it is to encounter a fellow connoisseur. Yes, it's a rare blend, and one mainly enjoyed by the noble classes. I couldn't believe the conversation I was hearing, but I also couldn't help wondering what this rare tea might taste like. My eyes rested on the cup that had been poured for me. Judging by the name, it's gonna heal my ailin', which I really need right now. Couldn't shake the fear that it might be poisoned, but I also couldn't ignore how delicious it smelled. I know that struggle in real life. Before I knew it, the cup was in my hands. This is great, I blurted out. Never had such a delicious brew in my entire life. My aches and pains faded away. You can tell because our screen went blue. I glanced over at Kid, who was blowing manically at the liquid in her cup. I'd forgotten that she was paranoid about burning her mouth on things. Now that we're comfortable, let's get down to brass tacks, as they say. I do indeed have the key to the dungeon, as you surmised, but you will also be aware that I cannot simply give it away. I glanced over to Kid again. Typical, she wasn't listening to a word Grismeld was saying. She was still huffing and puffing at her tea. It seemed it would be up to me to respond. I don't really want to threaten him. I suppose that means you want something in return. You'd like to know what I want? I want your heads. Grismeld's eyes glistened behind his spectacles. Or rather, I'm sure that's what my employer would have me say. But no, I have no such barbarous aspirations. Furthermore, I doubt I'd be a match for you. So I don't know if you caught that, but I was busy reading, and so I didn't have time to click the only option, which is to pull out our knife. So the option of doing nothing that we've hit accidentally a handful of times that has really hurt us before seems to have actually worked out for the better this time. Grismeld chuckled as he said this. What I live for is the joy of conversation, which I fear my compatriots are ill-equipped to supply. Perhaps you might have one or two ripping yarns to share. Grinning, he added, I'm sure notorious thieves such as yourself must have more than a few thrilling tales up your sleeves. So we wanted to hear a story. That seemed more than a fair price to pay for the key. Closed my eyes and thought. I know just the story. How did it begin? One night, a young girl was walking alone in the forest. And then, she was searching for a golden sunflower. And then she was searching for the golden sun? Yeah, it's the only way to cure her sick mother's illness. Then, she walked and walked, but the sunflower was nowhere to be found. Oh, the poor girl went without food for 3 days and 3 nights, guys. Fragments I remembered seemed to be about right. There was only one way the story could end. Took a breath and began my tale. One night, a young girl was walking alone in the forest. She was searching for a golden sunflower, the only way to cure her sick mother's illness. The poor girl went without food for 3 days and 3 nights. And then, in her moment of darkest despair, she saw a brilliant light. It was none other than the golden sunflower she sought. The young girl gratefully pocketed the sunflower seeds. These will surely save my mother, she thought. But it was all a dream. With a smile on her face, the girl drifted off and dreamed forevermore. That was beautiful, murmured Kid, wiping a tear from her eye. Grismeld frowned. Not quite what I was expecting, and not the most riveting of tales, but I suppose it will do. The key, as promised. Took it from Grismeld's hand. Something didn't seem right, though. Was he really going to give it up so easily? Was it really all right to trust such a strange goblin? Grismeld seemed to notice my suspicion. He leaned back into his chair, looking at the ceiling. When I was a young a braver, stupider goblin, I once served General Viper, who was the lord of this manor until his betrayal by Lord Lynx. Despite my boorishness, Lady Riddel always saw something in me worthy of praise. Wait, Riddel? What's Lynx's adopted daughter got to do with anything? Oh, you didn't know? Riddel's real father was none other than General Viper himself. What? Lord Lynx spared Lady Riddel's life so as to not snuff out that of the frozen flame. It's an uncanny stone, you see. It has a life of its own, and some kind of spiritual bond with Lady Riddel. If only there were some way that I could free milady from this manor. Alas, I am powerless to do any such thing. Of course, I would have no qualms if, say, you were to topple the usurper. I assume you'd intend to. Slay the old beast, I mean. It was a strange inquiry to make so casually. If it comes to it. I was more than a little taken aback by the directness of Grismeld's question. I never expected to find one of Lynx's own guards asking me something like that. Could that have been a trap? Suddenly I was shoved aside. Not if it comes to it, we're gonna kill him tonight. And kill him good. It was a kid, of course. And in exchange, I'll have some more of that tea to take with us. Kid held out her hand before Grismeld could offer an answer. I suppose I have a bag I can share. Grismeld shuffled awkwardly in his seat as he retrieved it. As ever, I was impressed at how Kid's uncompromising attitude and willingness to speak her mind seemed to always get her what she wanted. Bonzer! Sit tight and leave the rest to us, mate. Storing the bag in her pocket, Kid took the job. You can trust me. I'm a girl of me word. That might have been the biggest lie she'd ever told. Right, let's get moving. She made for the door with a spring in her step. We left the room, and Grismeld behind. Rattle. Kid stopped us. There's something there. Something that we are going to have to encounter tomorrow. We are absolutely out of time for the day. Thank you so very much for joining me in today's episode of Radical Dreamers. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.